Welcome back. Well, the SGX Nifty is not trading right now, but people refer to the Bhuj Nifty, the Rajkot Nifty. Those are up 100, 150 points right now, more than that.
You're getting that on your computer.
People give you all kind of information, right? That's one advantage of being followed on Twitter. I mean, people do give us information on what's happening. But let's wait for 9:15 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll find out. But before that, 9 a.m. tomorrow morning, Anand, do we see rupee opening below 70?
Absolutely. I think 69.5 is more likely as a first test. You could probably see a pop-up from there as people take profit, etc. But the expectation will be that FIIs will come through. Irrespective of what's happening globally, there will be a relief that the worst case is behind us and that, we don't have to worry about a fractured mandate, etc. Yes, people will wait for 23rd as well. But given the size of the exit poll results, I think we will see a rally. You'd probably see a correction followed by more flows coming in. And if RBI doesn't come in to buy dollars, you could see a further rally in the rupee as well. I just think given the nature of the overall fundamentals, it's probably a good level below at around 69 or so for importers to start covering. But to your earlier point, Lata, I think while this doesn't help solve all our fundamentals, it at least puts in place the conditions to solve them one by one.
Exactly.
Imagine trying to solve these.
No. Speaking of big mandates, let me now tell you, the India Today Access poll gives 339 to 368 for the NDA. So now that's another level in terms of the kind of majority that one of the exit polls is forecasting. So now to disbelieve exit polls looks a little difficult. Srini, the point I was asking Professor Bhagwati is, we have the Z deal, ADAG deal, DHFL deal, so many of them that are supposed to be in the making. Do you think, given the stable government and the likely rally that we may see, it will just speed up at least some of these deals, one of these deals?
No, I don't think so. Price was an issue or was a consideration in terms of deals closing. I think clearly this uncertainty in terms of what's going to happen was clearly playing on people's minds, whether the buyer or the seller. With that out of the way, I think the deals will happen, or at least there would be substantial pressure because there's nothing else waiting. I mean, there's nothing else pending for them to take a decision. And I think clearly the deal should happen. And hopefully with the markets being a bit more buoyant and sentiment being a bit, I think the deal should close. No. I'm not saying all deals will close. Because clearly the nature of the companies are all very different because they have the entire spectrum there.
But there's a better chance.
There's a better chance. The probability increases and some deals should clearly close. And that should sort of give the market some relief.
Deepan, you agree?
Absolutely. I think a lot of people waiting on the sidelines, not as far as these big deals you're talking about, but even at the retail level, I think a lot of investors waiting for the election results to be over and done with before putting more capital into the market. And we've seen this very strong financialization of savings trend right through the NDA government rule. And that's only going to get a further fillip because of this. And I can imagine that now with a stable government, the savings will come back in a bigger way into our markets.
That really would depend on how the fixed income mutual funds behave. If for the first time after the financialization, the big financialization wave, fixed income mutual fund investors are faced with the prospect of loss of capital, not just loss of gains. So whether that will be reversed will depend on these deals getting done. That's why I asked you the deal question.
Financial institution savings is not just mutual funds. So it can go back to bank deposits. It's not going back into real estate in a hurry.
To your earlier question, and look, I think this government has got a fantastic opportunity now. If it's got 5 years and it's come with a strong mandate, it doesn't have to worry about elections for the next 3 years.
Yes.
Now, all the problems that we've talked about, whether it's NBFCs, whether it's fiscal deficit, whether it's rural distress and agri distress, all of them have solutions.
Yes.
It's not as if this is something which is unsolvable. Now, what we have to hope for is that the new government understand that certain things did not work in the past, that there are corrective actions required, and hopefully the changes are made to make, this is the best chance we have.
And then some of them are long-term solutions. So, the markets are not going to wait for that.
Absolutely.
They'll probably sell off. I mean, making the consumer consume more is going to take a while. But my assumption or hope is that if liquidity is available and if there is a man with a whip standing there saying, get the deal done because otherwise debt markets will capitulate, then maybe deals will get, is my hope.
No, I think the point...
If there is a finance minister who can, take the initiative. 1 minute, Srini, I've not got to Ajay in a while. Ajay, what's your sense? Do you think some of these deals get done and therefore any capitulation in the NBFC space can be avoided?
I think we are all awaiting, Lata, more than the government formation, we are awaiting the RBI the policy on what's to do with the NPAs, because that's the most critical piece is going to come in, because that will dictate the fortune of the whole economy, because if the power NPAs start to hit the banks, I think the lending is over at the end of the day. So I think, as I said, it's not about just the new government coming, it's also about all other pieces. The RBI policy and NPA, that has to fit into the system. The overseas flows have to come into the system. But I guess as the end of the day, when we go back today with the 330, 360 kind of a number, what we are assured of is that if tough decisions need to be taken, they will be taken. Now the question is, will the tough decisions be on the side of encouraging investments and so on, or will they be more control-centric? I think that's the way the problem comes. That if they're more control-centric in terms of deposits, banking and regulation, everything, and the corporate regulation, then you've got a problem. But if it is more on the liberal side of the decision-making, yes, economy can be a little bit, kind of eased out. And somebody mentioned real estate. People will not go to real estate. If people, if somehow investment does not go to real estate, Indian economy cannot move. That's the employment generator, that's a multiple generator. So the old paradigm saying the best way is to let people discourage the real estate. We have paid a price for the discouraging real estate now. And that's what I said. It's not about the majority. Is it the fact that we will take some lessons and change the narrative about real estate? We stop holding it as an ugly cow and say it's a nice cow to be feed itself rather than putting it out to pasture. So I think, it's a whole host of things the new government has to come. And the biggest thing is, will the paradigm start changing and what so-called old-called demons like real estate, etc., start to come into favor, and the RBI new policy start to give benefit to get NPA resolution moving out in a much more liberal fashion than in the past.
Okay, so Deepan, tomorrow you think the market starts to price in a bit of a Goldilocks scenario, rate cuts, after this to follow, and
12,000.
Exactly.
not 12,000 tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Yeah, but I think we'll get over there. But let's all have this caveat that hopefully if the results will be in line with the exit policy. The exit polls.
But
that's
we won't leave anything for 23rd now, right?
I don't.
He's saying you will, no?
No, we are assuming that this is the way it is. Let's not have any nasty surprises or nightmares on 23rd morning. So assuming this is like this, I think market will go back to all-time highs over here. And as I said, Goldilocks scenario, that could certainly play out over there.
Yeah, Srini.
I think there would be a sell-off from here to 23rd. There was a profit-taking coming through because irrespective of how many ever polls, you priced in the best-case scenario. So you will have to sort of take profit and sit light.
Exactly. Because by 23rd, okay, we're having a bit of a debate here. Yeah, but because by 23rd,
everything is priced.
If there's a poll which is giving 360, you price in the moon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Tomorrow morning, first trade, you price in the moon. So that
may lead to profit taking on the day.
Especially in a scenario where, let's get back to what's happening globally. The big risk of happening right now in global market. And again, you could have a debate on the FI number that we had in our market post Balakot, whether that was ETF driven or whether that was long only. That debate is still not answered, of course, but that risk factor is still there, right? Globally,
you could have sell on news. We've seen that syndrome time and again. But then this market going from sell on every rise will go to buy on every decline. And that sentiment changer is going to be very important, I think. And as I said, I think this 330, those sort of numbers have not been priced in, and they open a whole new era of what the new government can do in terms of the problems the country is facing.
No, the point I think both Srini and Anuj are making is that that will get priced in perhaps tomorrow, but into that rally people will sell because there is a global risk off, because it is not very easy to stimulate the consumer. It is not easy to stimulate the real estate market. It is not easy to create jobs.
My two bits here. If you're buying tomorrow, do remember that smart money has bought in buckets over the last 2 days. In a weak global market, we've had a 800-point Bank Nifty rally, 250-point Nifty rally. And that money would be happy, to book, once there's a massive gap up and people are still chasing. When do you book profit? When, there's someone on the other side who's still chasing that gap up. Okay. That's when you book profit. And that would happen tomorrow. After that, take Deepan's point, I think the market will then
Yep.
talk about individual stocks, mid-cap rally, that would also happen.
Well, Professor Bhagwati, just one final question to you, and we have only 30 seconds left. What will be the next big thing that the market and the economy will wait? Who is the FM?
That's one, of course, but more important than that is, elections are a means to an end. You form government. After that, you have to perform. So sometimes in India, one gets the impression that we just go from election to election. For instance, in the financial capital of India, which is Mumbai, the Maharashtra will go to elections. There will be state assembly elections in 6 months' time.
This year, yes.
So I think we have to, at some stage, distinguish between elections and work.
Okay.
So that's what I will enjoin the new government and the new finance minister or the same finance minister.
Okay, Professor Bhagwati, Ajay, Deepan, Srini, Anant and Jahangir Aziz and Vikash, who aren't with us now, who have disconnected. Thank you very much for joining us. Expect a rally, but the majority opinion seems to be that immediately there could be a selling into that rally. Thank you very much for watching this special edition.